Hi everybody, Leah here. I wanted to talk to you today. I'm submitting my book proposal this weekend for my emotional infertility book with Hay House. And so I've been madly writing and getting ready to submit that, but also at the same time writing the actual book. And one of the most important topics, I think, when we talk about our fertility is stress. And stress is not something that women generally are great at recognizing, because we're just kind of taught, I guess, to just that women can multitask, and we feel like we're expected to do everything. We're supposed to have a job, have a career, provide financial input into the family, be a mum, and put nutritious meals on the table and manage the finances. And there's a lot of expectations on us, and probably a lot that we put on ourselves. It's not always from other people, but that stress, that constant high level of stress, does affect your cycle. And so it's really important to recognize when you are stressed and to do something about it. So I wanted to just talk to you a bit about that today. I did an original post on stress last year, and I'll share the link for that in the comments. That post goes into specific essential oils that you can use to help manage your stress. If you don't have essential oils yet and you want them, if you're interested, send me a message or go to mydoterra.com/Leah Lloyd to join or order your oils there. But this video, I just kind of want to more talk to you about how it does affect your fertility cycle and some other little things you can do about it. So when we're stressed, our bodies have an inbuilt defense mechanism, and it's called the fight or flight response. And so this is a response that our body has to a danger, and that danger may be real or it may be a perceived danger. And it kicks in when that danger occurs so that we can either fight or basically run away. And the process is designed to keep us safe, to keep us alive. But when that stress or that perceived danger has gone, that fight or flight response should just switch off and the body should return to normal. But in this modern age, this just doesn't really happen, and so we're just always functioning at this constant level of stress, and the stress response just never turns off. And so we get through our days in a constant state of fight or flight, and as you can imagine, you can only maintain that for a certain amount of time before we see effects in our bodies, because that constant energy requirement, that energy has to come from somewhere, and so it comes from other systems in our body, and systems get turned off in our bodies. So what happens when this fight or flight response occurs? We get an influx of adrenaline and cortisol in our bodies, and our non-vital body systems just turn off. So if you're fighting for your life or preparing to run, then you're not going to be eating. So our digestive system just turns off, and you're obviously not going to be having sex if you're trying to run away from a massive danger. So your reproductive system gets turned off. Your immune system gets turned off, and while this might seem counterproductive, keep in mind this is supposed to just be a short-term response to a situation. It should turn back on, but it doesn't always, or not effectively. And so the increased adrenaline levels in our body, they cause our heart to race, the blood pressure goes up, our breathing changes, we breathe faster and more shallow, and our blood gets shunted from our body organs to the muscles, preparing you to run. And so, that is a fantastic response if you need to run away from a bear that is chasing you. But imagine if you're in the Woolies checkout on Christmas Eve, surrounded by people, it's just chaos, and you might notice in yourself that you do get that, you can feel your blood pressure going, you can feel your heart racing, you're breathing up, and that's not an appropriate response to that situation, but it is the response that we quite often have now because we just have all of this stress in our lives. So the increased cortisol can affect our weight. We put on weight, we keep weight on, it's hard to lose it, and it really affects our reproductive system, amongst other things. You'll also find when this response happens, your eyesight changes, your vision can narrow, your hearing becomes more sensitive, your body is on alert, it's just ready to fight or run away. And so, as you can imagine, if that danger isn't real, or if you're functioning like this just all day, every day, just think about the long-term effect that would have on your body. And that it's just this state of panic all the time. And you might, if you think about your day and yourself, you might find that you can recognize that throughout your day, where you might, get that anxious feeling of, the heart racing and just that stressed out feeling. And it might happen quite frequently throughout the day, but we don't always consciously make an effort to switch that off once that, that threat or that stress has gone. So I want you to think about, how a typical day could run. Your alarm, most of us wake up to an alarm clock, which is just this, piercing sound beside your head there. And your body's probably not ready to wake up, but you have to get up because you've got to get to work. So you might have to pack lunch boxes for your kids. You might have to get school bags ready. You might realise that you forgot to get your own uniform ready for work that day. At the moment, I'm working 2 jobs, so I find that sometimes I wake up in a bit of a panic and an alarm goes off and think, which job am I meant to be going to today? Which uniform am I putting on? So you might be thinking, while you're doing all these things, your mind's thinking about the work, going to work that day or all the jobs you have to do. You might be late for work, the kids might be in slow-mo getting ready, or there could be a lot of traffic. And so then you're like thinking, I'm going to be in trouble when I get to work. And, if there's a lot of traffic, you get later and later as time goes on. And how often do you find when things start going wrong, they generally get worse? More things go wrong, and it's just a compounding thing. And, it's kind of a law of attraction thing, which I've talked about in other videos. But, generally that's how I find it goes. When things start going wrong, they continue to go wrong unless you can make that sort of conscious effort to turn it around. So, imagine a car swerves in front of you and you almost have an accident. And so, you slam on your brakes and you get a fright. And so, that fight or flight response kicks up a notch. And then you get to work and you may or may not get in trouble for being late, but, that fear is there, that overwhelm's already started. Work could be stressful. You might have angry clients that come in during the day. You might have difficult colleagues. You just might not, it might just be busy. You just can't get everything done and you're stressed out. And so you might grab a 5-minute lunch break where you scoff your food, but your digestive system isn't working well because you're in this stress response. And so that food just sits there in your tummy and you feel bloated and you feel uncomfortable. It can make you lethargic when your digestive system isn't working well. And so then work's even more difficult because you can't even focus properly then. And so then the day finishes and then you've got to drive home. You've got to battle that traffic again. You start thinking about that car that cut you off again this morning. You get home, you've got to think about dinner. Maybe you still have to go to the supermarket and you've got to think about what you're actually going to cook. It might be a case of, I know I should be doing something really nutritious and veggies, but at the same time it needs to be quick. I just need to get dinner done. And so, you add a bit of stress and guilt on top of the fact that the food you're actually dishing up isn't nutritious or, what you would like to be having. And so, you go to the shop, you go home, you cook the food, you're trying to talk to your kids about their day, you're thinking about tomorrow's lunch boxes, you might finally get the kids into bed and settle and then you think, I don't have uniforms. So, you've got to wash, you've got to dry them, you've got to iron them, you've got to get everything ready for the next day. And then, you might have things to do to prepare for your own work for the following day. So then that's got to be squeezed in there somewhere. And, if you've got a partner, maybe your partner wants to spend some quality time with you and that can become a chore rather than the fun thing it was intended to be. And so, you might do a quick tidy up of the house, but you think, that's just going to have to wait till the weekend because you've got other priorities. So you're already stressing out about, not being able to enjoy your weekend off. And so you go to bed, but you probably don't sleep well because when all this is going on, you can't switch off and your mind will try and help you out by processing things while you sleep. And that can be, that can result in, weird dreams and just waking up and, unsettled. And so the alarm goes off and you get up and you got to do it all again the next day. And so that stress response may have been like momentarily reduced or turned off while you slept, but probably hasn't returned to baseline. And it's probably going to go straight back up in the morning as soon as that whole process starts again. I watched a really interesting YouTube video by Carolyn Meese the other day, and she was saying that we have like an energy allowance for the day. And if you are constantly giving that energy away, so say she talked about in terms of dollars, so say you have $100 worth of energy allowance for the day and you gave $10 to that guy who cut you off, you gave $20 to stressing about the uniforms not being ready, you gave $50 thinking about the meal problems throughout the day and the lunch boxes and all of that. And you know, when you think about it in those terms, it really doesn't take long to get through that $100 worth of allowance of energy. And so where's your energy going to come from? You're taking it from your other body systems. You're wearing them down, basically, is what's happening over time. And if your adrenaline and cortisol levels just remain elevated all the time, you're constantly going to feel like you're on the lookout for these stresses and these dangers. And this is where we start to feel anxious. And, you know, like anyone who suffers from anxious feelings, it can be an overwhelming response in itself. And this becomes an everyday thing. It becomes your norm, and so your body just can't function like that every minute of the day. So this amazing mechanism that our body has developed in order to keep us safe is actually slowly killing us, and it leaves us wide open to illness and things starting to break down and not working the way that they should be. And so we have to manage this. We have to find a way to manage this, because otherwise, you know, if your digestive system's not working well, that can only happen for a short time. Our digestive system and our gut health is just vital to every other aspect of our health. That's another topic that I'm very passionate about. But in terms of fertility, when all of this is going on, your reproductive system just isn't going to work properly. You're not going to have fertile cycles. You might find your cycles are irregular. They might just be getting longer and longer. It might just be that your luteal phase is really short, and so even though you're ovulating, that you're not able, you know, that luteal phase isn't long enough to support a pregnancy, even if it was to happen. It might just simply be that you cannot have sex when you need to, or at the right time. So, you know, you can see how all of this really affects our reproductive cycle. And so, you know, you might be labelled with being infertile when in fact you're just incredibly stressed. And there is something you can do about that, and so that is a really good thing. One of the biggest things that I've been told from clients is that when it comes to infertility, the thing that stresses them the most is that lack of control over the process. They kind of feel like they're being told when to go and do blood tests or when to have sex, or, you know, or just, you know, month after month, sorry, no, you're not pregnant. And they just feel completely powerless. Identifying your stress and managing it is a really fantastic way of taking a little bit of control back over that process. And so I can't tell you enough that, you know, this is just such a vital thing for you to address. So what can you do about it? The most simple thing you can do is breathe. We forget to breathe. Notice how you're breathing now, you know, thinking about that day and all those stresses I talked about. Do you start to feel that breath going in shallow, just breathing from up here? So just slow it down and really, you know, breathe in. Feel yourself breathe into the bottom of those lungs. You know, really expand all of the lungs that are there. We very often become breathers from the top of our lungs, and we don't utilize the whole space, and that kind of leaves our lower lungs open to problems as well. So those really nice, slow, deep breaths in, and just reminding yourself to do that throughout the day is really, really important. So it's not this stress response is there, has probably been there for you for years, and so it's not something you're going to turn off overnight. And so managing your stress and making these changes is something you have to be really conscious of in the beginning until you make them habits. And then once they become a habit, you don't have to think about it so much because you will just do it automatically. But in this first initial stage of trying to manage that stress, you might set an alarm clock on your phone for every hour, and when that goes off, you might just do 10 slow, deep breaths in and out. Just 10. That doesn't take long. if you feel silly doing it, your work desk or something, duck out to the loo. There's or go for a short walk in nature. That's it. That's ideal. If you can get outside and get some fresh air as well, then that's perfect. So I find also what's really helpful is naming the stress, identifying what that stress is, because sometimes we're just kind of stressed about everything and we're completely overwhelmed, and we just, how do you deal with it? If you don't even know what that stress is, how do you go about fixing it? So really just taking a moment and going, okay, well, what is it that I'm stressed about? Is it that I'm angry about that car that cut me off this morning? In which case, yes, recognize it could have been worse. It could have been an accident. Something bad could have happened. Be grateful for the fact that it didn't. And then, just kind of go, okay, but I am safe. I'm okay. I'm going to let that go because I just don't have the space to worry about something that didn't actually even happen in my day. So letting that go. It might be that, you had an argument with hubby last night and that hasn't been resolved yet, and you're still like, he said this and I should have said that, and, all of those things. So you could just go, okay, well, what was my part in that? Where can I take responsibility for my share of that argument? What do I need to change? What do I need to happen? And then just have a grown-up conversation, if you can, with that person, and just say, look, sorry this happened. Sorry that this was my share of that part. This is what I need for us to do, to sort of move forward. And most people are going to be grateful for that and go, oh, okay, well, yeah, all right, she's owning her bit. I can own mine. Let's move forward and do things differently in future. So if you can really identify what that actual stress is, then you can probably come up with a fairly simple solution. But when you're stressed about, 10 million things and you haven't actually identified what any of them are, you just feel completely overwhelmed and powerless. So really recognizing that stress and naming it and acknowledging it and then addressing it, is just going to be so important for your day. I use my essential oils all day. I use them to sleep, to calm me down at night if I need to, if I've had a stressful day. I make perfume out of them. So I use them all day. And so they really help. If you don't have them, if you want them, please message me, because, it's a really affordable way of looking after your health naturally. So yeah, just send me a message if you're interested in that. And the other thing I was going to mention, this is a little book that I wrote in 2014, and I have just self-published it with Amazon. So using positivity to make a better life. You can get it in Kindle version or the hard copy. It's not expensive, but it's got some really easy techniques. It's not a hard process. It's really easy to read. They're just really practical tools that you can just incorporate into your everyday. So, if you're needing a little bit more support to get this process happening, to manage your stress, to find the joy in life again, the good stuff in life, and so that, you can start to let go of some of the other stuff that's weighing you down, then this is a really easy way to do it. So please, go and check it out. It's on Amazon. Tools like tapping. If you go to the link to my original stress post from last year, in the comments, there's a little bit of a tapping script there as well. You can go to the tappingsolution.com. They have heaps of scripts there you can follow if you don't know how to do tapping. Meditation, yoga and Tai Chi are brilliant because that gentle movement on your body helps to get that stress that we're storing in our body out. So that is a really good way to calm things down and breathe. And sometimes meditating for some people can be really difficult, because sitting there when you're full of that energy can feel really hard to do that. And so, moving meditation or doing yoga or Tai Chi is a really great way to do that. So I really hope this helps. Please take it on board. If, just maybe commit to, for the next week, recognizing your stress. If you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling anxious, if you feel that blood pressure going up, if you feel your heart racing, if you notice you're breathing quickly, ask yourself why. What am I stressed about? What can I do about it? Breathe. That's, the number one thing you can do to make a big difference. So, and you should find that when you start doing these, your digestive system is going to work a bit better. Hopefully you'll find that your cycles start to regulate a little bit more as well. There's a whole lot more to fertility, obviously, than just this, but this is one of the most basic things that are going to make a big difference to you, that you have complete control over in your life. So yeah, please work on your stress. So also, if you know anyone who is having troubles at the moment with fertility, let them, please share this video, send them to my page. I will keep you posted there about how I'm going with the book. The book is over halfway written. The proposal goes in this weekend. If Hay House don't pick it up, I will seek other publishers, or I will just self-publish it. So the book's coming out one way or another. So it would be really great if you could share this video, and you know, it might make a difference to someone becoming a mum or not. And you know, that's my intention through this book and through these videos. So thank you for watching, thank you for sharing, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.